Hi, welcome to No BS Real Estate Podcast, Episode 2. I'm Jared Chambers, a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Alaska. And my brokerage is Chambers Real Estate Services. Here, we basically believe in no gimmicks, no waste of time, no BS, just real estate done right. Mindset Minute. Focus here today is on the book we talked about last week, The One Thing by Gary Keller, and Jay Papasan. One of the concepts is obstacles. Everything you do in life is an obstacle to what it is that you're trying to do. There's a million things that happen, there's a million things that pop up. Everything matters equally. Wrong. Equality does not exist. The vital issue is making good choices in what you need to do. So eliminating noise so that the one thing can be dealt with, that's crucial. Successful people, they prioritize. There are many things to handle all the time, everywhere, all at once, but one thing always stands out. Multitasking actually works. Wrong. I know that the way to screw up a lot of things is to try to do a lot of stuff at once. So multitasking leads to distractions, leads to disaster in some instances. Don't do it. Discipline life. Now, I took an organizational decision making class during my MBA and my MRED at Arizona State. Um, One of the things I was fortunate to learn about was neuroscience. And it's something also that my dad talked to me about. And the neuroscience talked about discipline in the form of rituals, doing the same things over and over every day. It gives you wins and positive momentum forward, but it also reduces decision fatigue because you don't have to think about it. I don't, from my time in the Marine Corps, I don't even think about getting out of bed and making my bed. That's what I do. Then I brush my teeth. You got a couple wins, right? 2 wins just to start the day, and it's routinized, and now you're off and running. The worst thing in the world, I think, for getting out of bed were these things, these little cell phones. I tell you, because sometimes they really want your attention, and that takes a neural load. And every second of every day, you're making decisions, right? And you're attriting your mental ability to make more decisions every time you make one. It's like money. You've got $100 in your pocket at the beginning of the day, but every time you make a decision, have a conversation, answer an email, answer a text, guess what? You now have less money in your pocket. Think about driving a car too. It's a routinized ritual. It's something you do, a discipline that you do probably pretty much every day if you have a car. Um, and where most of us get so good at it that what we can do now is I can drive and probably yell at my kids in the back seat, and I can have a cell phone call. I could probably text, but I don't like to do that. But because it's so routinized, you can drive from one place to the other and not even remember because it's automatic. It's easy. It's one of the tasks I got to do. I got to get to work, but I don't even have to think about it, and most don't. So making those daily habits, things that are routinized, or you don't think about them, is going to help you preserve your willpower. And talking about willpower, it's not always like on call. It's not on will call where you can just grab it anytime you want. We run out of it, just like we run out of, we have decision fatigue, but willpower is something that you don't always have on command. So it's about recharging, right? Recharging your time. There's a time where work ends. There's a time where you do the things that make you happy and the things that you love. Um, my cell phone goes off typically around 7:30 because I don't want a sleazy real estate agent calling me trying to sell a house or get me to sign a contract, except for me. Um, so it's important to create the buffers so you can rest your mind because that brain of yours is a big energy hog, and the more of it that you use, the more of it you need to recover. So, and then also balance life. There really is no such thing. When you're focused on something, you're not in balance because you're over here on the edges doing something. Balance is in the middle. Now, I grew up in East Anchorage. I was in a trailer park, and um, we had like a playground, right? And the playground had a swing set and it had a slide and it had a seesaw. Well, when I'm on the slide or the swing set, if I'm in the middle, nothing's happening. I had to get on the end and then somebody would get on the other end. And all of a sudden, it was out of balance, but somebody got on the other side. And then that momentum went back and forth. So if you're in the middle, nothing happens. If you're on a swing and you're not trying to unbalance yourself, you don't get to enjoy the ride. So balanced life doesn't really exist. It's just focusing on one thing at a time. And when you're out of balance for a little while, but then you get back to the other side and your net of where you are is balanced out in the middle because you're over here and then you're over here. That's kind of how it works. Um, so let's just go on to the mortgage minute. So, courtesy of Amped Mortgage, you can reach Ryan Barry at 907 519 7000 or ampedmtg.com. Uh, 30-year conventional rates had dropped about a quarter, so they're about 6.625% for home buying, and the 15 years at 5.25. VA loans for veterans and servicemen, we had a quarter 1.125% drop to 6%, and USDA FHA also dropped in there at 6%. Your commercial rates are pretty much the same. Bank financing, 5-year for amortization is about 6.59%, and a 10-year is 6.75%. Once again, that contact info is Ryan Berry, 907-519-7000. As far as market update, okay, we're in a weird market. So Anchorage and Matsu home values have gone up, right? So from in 5 years, it's gone up almost $100,000 to $386,000. Um, but we've also seen the rates go up. So the average salary required has gone up from 52,000 to 108. We talked about this last week. New building permits, though, are down. So we were 5 years ago at about 1,278 permits issued in this area, and now we're at 297. And average mortgage payments are up from 1,300 4 years ago to 2,700, meaning that the mortgage payment are up from about 19% of household income in 2021 to 33% today. Meanwhile, rents are only, as a percentage of income, sit at about 21%. So, I mean, folks are probably going to rent. And so we're not putting as many houses on the market either. What do we need? We need houses on the market. Um, First time home buyers, excuse me, are kind of priced out though for the houses that are on the market because they've appreciated and they're sitting high and the rates are high. So it's a little tough. And so somebody who wants to move in, who maybe bought their starter home 5 years ago, they're stuck because the guys behind them, who are those first time home buyers, can't quite qualify. So that means they're stuck and they can't get into the next thing. So we've got this kind of we're stuck in the mud type of market. I mean, the housing prices are still pretty good, but we just don't have enough of it, and we're not building enough. So what does that mean? Well, we'll see. Um, Now, like somebody who's a home seller, they can rent their house and buy something new, but they have to qualify for that new mortgage. And if the rental rates are low, they might not make out on it, especially if they refinance their home and they've got a mortgage price that would be higher than what they could command as far as rents. That leads us to mortgage rates. Mortgage rates are in the 6% range. And even though we've had a slight drop as of late, we need a little more help to loosen that up, but we don't want to see so much price appreciation occur from dropping the rates drastically that we we have runaway. I don't want to say runaway inflation, but we have massive appreciation of the home values, and then we're kind of back to square one. Now, some say we're technically in a recession. I mean, technically we're not, but some feel that way. We've had a decent amount of inflation over the last few years. It's at 3% now. We've got tariffs coming. I guess they just hit, and then some more are going to hit I think on April 2nd with China, the EU, Mexico, Canada's going. And so there's been a lot of news about that. Now, those tariffs are going to affect the overall GDP of those nations considerably more than the US, but we're still going to see a cost increase. And that's going to hit us here at home based off the imports coming in. That means that we're going to feel it in the pocketbook. And that basically means there's less disposable income, which then puts downward pressure on home prices eventually. Take a little bit while to occur in the home market, but still that's something we're seeing. Some think that Trump recognizes that we're probably heading for a recession anyway, so we might as well rip off the Band-Aid. I don't know, but that's what some folks are saying. So the downstream effect is that these increasing prices will spill over in the housing market, create more sellers who likely will need to sell because they're feeling the pinch and they want to maybe get into a rental. Who knows what they're doing, or maybe they're moving. We also have we've gentrified here a bit in Alaska, but we also have a lot of older folks too, because their median age has increased considerably over the last 10 or so years. So we have a need for inventory to stabilize. We need the Federal Reserve to be smart. The Federal Reserve meets on March 18th, and they're going to consider keeping rates the same, increasing them, or dropping them. But dropping too quickly can once again result in more inflation, which currently sits at 3%. So Fed likes to be at 2% before they start cutting rates. So what does that mean for buyers and sellers? Well, I mean, for buyers, if you're in a position to buy, it's not a bad time to buy as long as you're planning to stay, because uh, these home prices, they do appreciate. Investors can get in at any point in time as long as the purchase is favorable. and the rental rates support it. But right now they don't. So what are they going to do? They're going to, we need to, some of those investors, fix and flippers, hopefully they can find some good inventory, put it back on the market for some of those first time home buyers. Now, if you lived in a starter home, or you want to live in a starter home for 2 to 3 years, you may want to evaluate your time frame. You might not want to look out for a couple more years so that you're not upside down at some point in time, or you just buy right. If you're transitioning military and you want to use your VA or to PCS and transfer here, just be aware of when your PCS out of here is. If you want to stay here, that's one thing. But if you're moving and you're going to be heading down to Luke Air Force Base in Arizona or anywhere else, just be aware of it and have a strong real estate licensee who can walk you through that process. Um, and then sellers, if you're looking to sell, it's a good idea to be aware of the market. Right now is a good time to sell because we're historically high with our prices. And, based off of the normal trend, we're about 6.5% of where we probably should be based off a 20-year average of appreciation. So that means that, it's probably a good time to sell. And there's people that want to buy. There's just not enough of them, but because there's not enough inventory, shouldn't be a problem. And we're going into prime absorption, which means that this time of year is when folks are really looking to buy. They want to get little Johnny and Sally into school next year, and so they're looking now. They got 90 days, and then we're going to be into summer, and they want them set up for when they start the new school year. So this is a good time. If you want to work with us, give us a call, 907-565-5665. Our website is chambersrealestate.net. And for commercial, we can help you at chamberscommercialrealestate.com. Our guarantee for the home buyers, or excuse me, the home sellers, is that if you want to work with us, um, we can agree upon a price ahead of time so that if your home doesn't sell in the agreed upon time, we'll buy it at that pre-agreed price. No risk to you. We are pretty brutally honest about where your house is because we want it to sell. If you overprice it, it's going to sit on the market. So we want to make sure we give the best information so it will sell in your time frame. So once again, that's our guarantee and no risk to you. We appreciate you listening, and we'll see you in the next one.